New card. What do you think?
Get over here!
Hadouken! That man is playing Galaga.
I understood that reference.
You shall not pass! So say we all.
Ride with me?
It's adamantium tasting time, boys.
Well, make it so, number one.
All wings reporting.
And welcome to your weekly interval. This is the Best Damn Nerd Show. I am your host, Microphone Alchemist James Kincaid. With me tonight, Hall of Fame cyber athlete Jonathan Craig.
Well, hello.
And Professor Chris Davis, or Coach Davis. I don't know. I don't know which one to, because we're gonna be getting into some sporty stuff again here tonight with our bracket results, Davis.
That could bring out the clipboard and, draw up some plays. It sounds like we're going to need them from how this all went out.
I just gotta say, like, before we get into it, I'm looking at your guys' webcams. James just came home from work, so he's wearing like a nice shirt and a tie. I'm looking at Davis's webcam. He's laying sprawled out on the couch. The computer is in a position where the closest thing to the camera is his crotch. So that's full.
The Predator
right
springs eternal.
But I gotta say, this might be Davis's most natural podcast, just because he's in a comfortable position. You look like you're just chilling right now.
He looks very relaxed.
This is probably how you've known me best through the years.
It is, yeah.
I mean, but with more clothes on, probably. So
yes, the controllers are gonna go flying at any minute.
Davis,
I was
Davis
informed
to
turn them off.
Games.
Yeah,
you guys forced me to turn off the controller. So
yeah, Davis had to be instructed to not be playing video games during the podcast. So that being said, welcome back to the Best Damn Nerd Show, everybody. And I just want to say right off the top how much again I love our Discord. It's bestdamnnerdshow.com/Discord if you want to join in on the number one place for the conversation that goes down in the nerdosphere. Join our Discord. And I mean, what a great week it was as we unveiled our latest sort of bracket battle last week on the show, courtesy of an idea that came from a listener in the Discord. So you can have an impact on this program. That was courtesy of Gay Florida Nerd, who wanted to see chaos reign. So inspired by the Jocks versus Nerds episode, we brought you two sides of a bracket. On one side were sports, and on one side were competitive video games, and we crisscrossed it. Did all the Illuminati did all the seeding, and we wanted to see what happened. So I'm going to go over the results.
We had high hopes. We had a lot of expectations. We really thought that you guys would do the right thing and place the right votes. You didn't. Okay, you just didn't.
I'm pretty surprised by some of these results, for sure, given how many video games might not be moving on here. Yeah. But I can't argue with a lot of the logic.
Let me preface the results with this. We're going to be passing out a lot of bans this week. If you notice that the Discord user list is about 20 to 30% smaller,
there will be. The Illuminati have said there will be no bans, John, unless it's you.
It's just not right. It's just not right. This is not a sports podcast.
If they see the podcast turn a different theme direction next week, they shouldn't be surprised with how this turned out. We're clearly not talking about the right stuff.
I know.
As I stand here,
we need to lean into it. Like we're fighting. We're fighting who we truly are. We truly are a sports podcast. That's what we feel that
I think we're looking at this. I think it's validation that there's crossover there. Like we talked in the Jocks versus Nerds episode, it doesn't have to be apart. There is so much crossover there. So clearly there's some fantasy sports players in here. I was very excited with how the bracket turned out for this first round. I thought there were some good matchups, some sentimental, two Cinderella sentimental favorites in the 8th seed. Let me go over the results of what happened here. It was on the sports side of the bracket, their number one seed, the NFL football, taking on sentimental favorite StarCraft in the 8th seed for the competitive gaming side. And, well, it wasn't very close. The final result there was 14-6 in favor of the Pigskin. Maybe my favorite matchup of the whole week, though, was the number 2 seed, the sport of the world, supposedly, to all those highfalutin types out there that love soccer. Number 2 seed taking on Rocket League, which is, as John, I think you so eloquently put, has done more for soccer in the United States than the game itself. And you were proven correct, sir, because Rocket League dominated soccer and is moving on. I was very happy to see that one. How about you, John?
Yeah, I agree with these first 2 results. And again,
it had to be hard for you with StarCraft, right?
I mean, it is, but football is my favorite sport. Really, the only sport that I like, as I don a Los Angeles Lakers hat right now. But that's just because they're winners.
That's just a troll. Winners. That's just to troll me.
I just like winners. It doesn't matter what sport they are. I just like teams that win.
John is a front runner. That is for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. As soon as my team gets eliminated from the playoffs, I'm like, all right.
That's why he left the podcast for a time. Actually, went to work for Chris Hardwick, and then when he heard we were coming back strong, he's like, "Oh, let me check this out again."
Exactly. So far, I approve of the results. And yeah, I think I don't. We'll get into the next round. I don't anticipate Rocket League making it much farther, but I think that it's fitting that they knocked out soccer.
It's sad because the World Cup is so much fun. Like that is like the best sporting event of all. It's so much fun.
It's not,
especially in the last couple World Cups for the U.S. Even though it's clear that we weren't going to go anywhere, but there was still a lot more excitement there than there usually is, and it's just a little sad that the world sport can't make it past Rocket League.
Well, it's not apparently a sport of the nerd world, so see ya, soccer. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Good riddance to bad rubbish. Baseball, the number 3 seed, defeated Call of Duty, a 6 seed.
That's complete and utter bullshit.
You're not down, huh?
In what world is baseball more entertaining than Call of Duty?
I love baseball, so you're barking up the wrong street with me. Davis, what say you?
I mean, it is the nerd sport with the analytics like we were talking about last week, but Call of Duty is like the meathead video game, and how the rest of these votes went, it looked like a lot for sports. So you would have thought Call of Duty would have got a lot of the votes from the sport heads. That didn't happen. So I'm a little confused at this point.
Yeah, it decidedly did not happen. And so baseball is moving on. I'm happy about that. I love America's pastime. Basketball, number 4 seed, taking on Counter-Strike 5 seed. Was this a tough one for you, Davis?
No, this was a very easy one. I out of all of these games, it was tough because Counter-Strike is the one that I've probably played the most. But it also went up against something that has been. I think
you tried to accuse you tried to accuse the Illuminati by extension, which I am not, by like setting this up to pit C-section against yourselves, and it's not even Seglia's game.
Seglia had a huge problem with that matchup. Like right after we posted it, Bossman came in, and the first thing he mentioned was Counter-Strike. So. I was right on. I know the other part of the section
lower than it should have been.
Yeah.
There's a lot of high hitters. I mean, you can't just say something should be higher and then not have an argument for well, then we have to place League of Legends, way lower. That doesn't make any sense. So let's continue on.
I just gotta say because this one is personal for me. Counter-Strike is my game of choice.
Yeah, that's right.
If I'm not allowed to ban people, fine. But just know, I have saved your names, all of your handles.
You're on the list.
Memory bank. Yes, you're on a list.
John, you're very butthurt about the fact that Counter-Strike got doubled up in the voting.
And honestly, I don't even care who basketball is up against. I'm voting to knock basketball out in every round until they're out.
John hates basketball now because of this.
Exactly.
Discord, come to my ranks. Push basketball forward. That's all you need to do.
My pick to win the tournament had the strongest showing in the first round, and that was the 4 seed on the video game side, and that's fighting games. absolutely dominating the Olympic Games, sends them packing home in the first round. So
yeah, that was an easy first round. That's like whoever got to play the Washington football team this season.
I mean, but the Olympics were a 5 seed. They were, there are other sports that were ranked lower than the Olympic Games, though. So I think if anything, fighting games were just a really strong 4 seed because there's a lot of heavily weighted, very popular, but maybe not in our wheelhouse games that were in those first 3 seeds for video games.
Do we have?
And
do we have some?
Also a massive category that encompasses like multiple decades and multiple like eras of gaming too. So it's a very powerful category.
Absolutely.
You got the boss man coming in that he has these fighting game ties. Maybe he's pulling some strings in the back end.
I don't think there's any sort of collusion or anything like that, but they did get the most votes out of any competitor. And then we had Dota, a 3 seed for the video games, getting knocked off by a 6 seed. Hockey of all the sports took down
They
Dota.
love the fighting.
Fighting games stoked on that, I bet.
Fighting games and hockey move on. Coincidence? I think not. A lot of fighting in hockey. They might be,
No.
I'm feeling it.
I think it's just a lack of familiarity with Dota in our Discord. That's what it comes down to.
Or how awesome playoff hockey and how great it is live.
No one likes hockey.
Resonates with our Discord.
No Americans do.
That's absurd. Maybe we have a lot of Canadians in our Discord. Have we polled them?
We must. Well, then they're definitely getting banned.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how far hockey can go.
It's not a ban if I just region lock the server, right? Is that possible?
Oh my God. Well, we'll see. I don't know if hockey's moving on past the next round, Davis, but I could be wrong. I mean, they're going to be facing. We'll get to that in a minute, but they're going to be facing a high seed here. So let's keep it moving though. League of Legends, a 2 seed on the video game side, edging out just barely boxing. This was a lot. Boxing was leading for most of this because in my original notes I had boxing moving on, and I had to go back and check the final tallies, and I was like, oh wow, League of Legends actually they did work and came back.
How did boxing almost win in our Discord? I'm sorry. I don't understand. I love boxing too, but I guess League of Legends,
and League of Legends of all games, like I'm very surprised that that's the one, but maybe it's because people like to watch it on Twitch. I'm not sure.
League of Legends, though, 2 seed, moving on. The 1 seed for competitive gaming, or esports, if you will, was Fortnite. And I stand by being seeded number 1, given the numbers and metrics that it pulls. But you guys love a Cinderella story. The 8 seed for sports, pro wrestling, takes down a 1 seed. Not only takes it down.
Discord if I've ever seen one.
Not only takes down the 1 seed.
In our Discord over 25.
Not only took down the number 1 seed for video games, but also got more votes than any other sport in the first round. Edged out football. And got more votes.
Allowed the pro wrestling.
The 8th seed. A Cinderella story is born. Pro wrestling is moving on. Wow, what a great story.
I voted for pro wrestling though, if I'm being honest.
I think you did. I think you did. But what a just a stirring story that is, Davis. The Predator, large and in charge in our Discord. Pro wrestling is moving on.
I don't think.
I want to hear from the Predator.
Predator doesn't really kind of talk about these things until it matters, because I'm assuming he's just thinking this is just a shot in the dark. They don't stand a chance. So I mean, yeah, Fortnite, it's it doesn't hit our demographics in our Discord, so it was set up. It was a fix.
All right, let's do this.
The crackpot tinfoil hat room was they knew what was going on. They called this from the beginning.
What did they say?
Ask you guys this.
Are we gonna change that to Illuminati, by the way, in the Discord?
Oh yeah.
Oh, we do have to do that now.
How do you spell it? I'll change it right now.
We'll do it after. I don't want to spell on a podcast.
Oh yeah, no, let's spell on a podcast. That's good entertainment.
No, that's no speak and spell.
Let's have Davis try to spell it.
What? No.
Wait, before we get into what the next round is going to look like, though, based on how this has gone, and what game, what games are still alive, who do you guys want to see in the grand finals? And before we answer that, James, is it a guaranteed sports versus video games grand finals?
No, because so let me quickly look here at the remaining competitors and see that we have three video games made it through compared to 5 sports. So that we're gonna have to do a little bit of a reseeding here. It's not too much of a change, though.
I have an idea for a sports podcast name based on our current name.
Oh yeah, what's that?
It's not an active show name right now, so maybe we think about doing the best damn sports show.
Oh, that has a certain ring to it.
Yeah,
actually, that does have a certain nice little ring. I like it, John. That's good thinking outside the box. I'm surprised somebody hasn't done that yet.
Yeah, it's not currently an active show name.
It seems like it's completely ripped off from our show, so it's
but people will find us that way.
Be a little hacky.
Well, we did win that war. The war of attrition.
So there has to be a little bit of a reseeding going on here, moving forward. Now, by benefit, most of these things sort of took care of themselves because I think we only had one duplicate seed that moved on that we needed to sort of determine. So the Illuminati have weighed upon high on what the reseeding will look like. So here we go. There's not much change, but this is for the survivors of the first round. Number 1 seed still football. Number 2, League of Legends. 3, baseball. 4, fighting games. 5, so basketball takes a drop to number 5 because fighting games got so many more votes. Basketball drops to 5. Hockey still holding it down at 6. Davis, Rocket League 7, and pro wrestling, despite the fact that pro wrestling got more votes than any other sport, they're still an 8th seed. So, all this talk about, corruption and collusion and, whatever. It's the Cinderella story is probably going to end here in the second round because the second round matchups will go like this with that reseeding. Football versus pro wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
League of
that's a downfall.
That's
bye wrestling.
That's a tough one for pro wrestling to get by.
Pull out after the AFC or after the,
Yeah, and so we'll be heading into the Super Bowl, so interest in football will probably be at a very high. Although Royal Rumble is coming up for pro wrestling, but it's looking like that Cinderella story might end. I think my bots are on strike, so
I'm torn on who to vote for on that one. I'll be honest.
No, you're not.
No, I mean, look, I love football, but I also would love to see pro wrestling make it to the grand finals in this.
I would love to see it as well.
Like on the sports side, I think it would be amazing if that was the representing sports in the grand.
People love a good Cinderella story in a tournament. So pro wrestling is tasked for the second straight round to take on a 1 seed. It's the hardest road possible, but they're still in it. 2 seed League of Legends. Now it'll be some video game cannibalization as they will face Rocket League. I actually think Rocket League has a shot there.
I don't know. I don't know what to expect from our Discord anymore.
John, very disillusioned.
Like to any of them anymore.
Very, very disillusioned is Jonathan Craig. And then we have
like nerdy things.
3 seed baseball taking on hockey. Davis, thanks for coming, hockey. I think that's a wrap for them.
With who?
Baseball and hockey.
Oh no, hockey will take that.
You think so?
Yeah. Yeah, people like the fighting. And
they don't like boxing though.
And live hockey is so much better. It has everything on baseball right now. So.
And John, I think you get your wish because then it's another 4 or 5 matchup, fighting games and basketball. I think fighting games is going to just dance all over basketball's face in that one, just like they did to the Olympics.
Yeah, well,
I think fighting games is winning the whole thing. They had the strongest showing in the first round.
Fighting games versus pro wrestling at the end would be amazing.
That would be the best possible outcome, in my opinion. So we will.
Man, basketball really drew a hard draw this round. It's going to be tough in our Discord. I think I'm going to have to rally some troops. It's going to be a lot. You're gonna
be rallying against fighting games.
Yeah. It's gonna be some lobbying, some paid lobbying.
Wow.
Yeah.
Paid lobbying.
Yeah, I'm gonna be.
The Illuminati has not outlawed
some Venmos
that.
out.
We just see a bunch of people joining our Discord. By the way, it is bestdamnnerdshow.com/Discord to join. I loved it. I forget which listener it was. Let's see. That just joined up and was immediately like, "Hey, where's the voting done?" Oh, Rex in Discord. So just joined and then immediately was like, "Hey, where do we go to vote?" Love that. Love to see that participation.
He heard something that we were talking about and said, "Fuck these guys! I need to make sure this happens."
How did he vote? I didn't even.
I didn't even look into his votes. Yeah, we can do that, but I did not.
We can actually see how each person votes.
If you mouse over the emojis, you can see like the names of who voted for what.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. That's how I'm making some of my lists.
I got some special emojis going for everybody too. You know, it was nice.
That's
I hope this is scratching the chaos fix for our listeners in the Discord. It was a lot of fun just seeing it all go down, and again seeing the discussion, and of course the anime chat room continues to pull our highest ratings in the whole Discord. So even though Davis has it on mute.
Thank God I muted that.
It's the most active and harmonious thread in the Discord. So we're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we're going to pivot away from the bracket madness, and we're going to be playing Nerdgasm or Nogasm. It's like a buy or sell. On the other side, the best damn nerd show.
Is it?
Hey everyone, Chris Eglia here, CEO of the Tenno Media Network. I would like to say thank you for checking out one of our podcasts, but we need your help. You can support Tenno in a multitude of ways. By going to our website and checking out our latest podcasts, by buying some sweet merch, joining our Discord, or getting early and exclusive access to all content via our Patreon. Your support means the world to us, and you can find everything on our website, www.ten-o.gg. That's ten-o.gg. Thank you again, and now, back to the show.
It's me, Iron Nerd Min-Maxer, Hanzo Gonzo, inviting you into the Tenno Media Arena to see whose nerdiness will reign No, we're gonna get sued. If you will triumph a lotly. Come check out all the battles on the Tenno Media Network Patreon, or you can just skip to the parts where Steve physically breaks something for no reason. See you there.
Nerdosphere, it's the microphone alchemist Bimbo Jimbo here, and we want you to be in on the conversation with us. So sound off to us in our Discord, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at the BDNS. And you know, maybe you actually like the Star Wars prequels and sequels. Maybe you think the MCU should be a comedy open mic night on the big screen. Whatever you think, we love to feature the hottest takes from our fans on the show. So remember, if you're a nerd, always say it loud and say it proud. Welcome back to the Best Damn Nerd Show. James Kincaid alongside Jonathan Craig and Chris Davis, and it's time for Nerdgasm or Nogasm. We've got a few stories that we want to go over with y'all, and we're going to Nerdgasm or Nogasm all over them, and we're going to start with one that is near and dear to my
You're
heart.
the one who wants this to be a buy or sell.
Yeah, I don't know. I go in and out. I'm sorry, okay? It's hard. Anyway, pressing forward.
Jesus Christ.
Plowing
Did you
ahead.
write all these before the show?
No. Plowing ahead. When would I have had time? I haven't even had time to change out of my work clothes. Batman the Animated Series revival reportedly coming to HBO Max. Coming to us from our ultimate rival, our nerdy award winner for being the #1 rival of the Best Damn Nerd Show, Kevin Smith himself, on this stupid show apparently called Fat Man Beyond. Talking about a potential revival of Batman the Animated Series coming to HBO Max. Batman the Animated Series, one of my all-time favorite shows. I think everybody can sort of agree that it is certainly, at least in the conversation, for one of the greatest comic book adaptations of all time. And now, all these years later, a revival of sorts potentially coming to HBO Max. So I call the question, Chris Davis, Nerdgasm or Nogasm?
It's gonna be a nerdgasm, James. Just a little bit, though. as you said, this was something for everyone where it's very nostalgic, and it's one of the best shows that we all have placed very dear to our heart. And when you hear of these things being rebooted, it's a very weary thing to do for all of us, because it's hard to recapture something like that when so much time has passed. So I like the idea of getting more stories in that universe with how they did it, but I don't have a lot of enthusiasm, or I have
That
the
sounds like a
enthusiasm.
Nogasm then.
No, it does, but I really want it to be good, and so I would be excited for it to be good. But
the idea of them touching this.
Yeah, but I just don't know if you can really recapture that with so much time passed.
All right, I'm giving you plus 5 points and then an immediate minus 5 points because you're being a fence sitter right now, Davis.
I'm trying to like something, James.
You're not, though. You're not.
I just want to like it.
You're not. I don't know what you're saying here. It doesn't make sense that you nerdgasm. John, nerdgasm or nogasm?
I'm gonna say Nogasm. I feel like there's plenty of subject matter and material for them to pull from. I think we should let Sleeping Dogs lie. It was a great series. It's still a great series, watchable today.
Yeah.
On HBO.
I don't know to the extent of how they would revive it, if it's like just reanimating the same stories or having like the spirit of that. Ultimately, I just think it's a bad idea, and they should just move forward. Stop looking back.
Like plus 10 points to John there. I'm echoing Mr. Craig. This is a big time Nogasm for me. We don't know who would be involved with it if we would get all of the the usual suspects of Tim Deeney and Burnett or Mark Hamill or Kevin Conroy voicing Batman and stuff like that. And also, it's available on HBO Max. John, what you said, it stands up today. You can go back and watch it now on HBO Max.
Yeah.
And you can get your fix. They told all the best stories there were.
Yeah, and can I just say, if you have access to the most talented artisans who are creating content, there's no shortage of new ideas and new stories to tell. If you're not confident that you have access to the best creative people available, then I definitely don't think you should be going back and trying to reboot something that worked previously. Either you have masters that can create new stuff that is successful and works using this IP, or you have a bunch of second-rate creatives who are just going to ruin it. So I really don't think that there's any reason to go back.
I don't see why they would even reboot, or how they would call this a reboot. I mean, that's not.
They're calling it a revival, is the terminology that they're using.
So I'm like, what's the extent of what they're doing here? Are they like remastering it?
It's sounding like new content in this Batman they made series world.
That would just be a new
it sounds like a bad idea. I think leave it alone. You did it right the first time. It's one of the most highly regarded animated series of all time, if not the very most. I think it's on the top of most people's lists.
Yeah.
And just that you did it right. There's no cause for it, and you can watch it now.
I think there's this tendency to be like, yeah, but it was so successful back then. Like, let's do it again and ride the coattails of that success.
I understand.
Why don't you create something new that's successful?
Sure, and I completely agree with your sentiment there. I understand the sentiment though of, hey, this was so successful, let's bleed it, for more money. I get that from the corporate side. I don't understand the fan excitement side of that. It's like I don't understand why people are so excited for this when it, in all likelihood, would diminish what was, pretty perfect. This is a major Nogasm.
All I hear is that it's going to be updated animation. It's going to have some of the same people, some not, and I guess they're just going for the same tone.
No thanks. Do something else.
That just sounds like a new series to me. That's not a revival.
It's going to try and sort of live off of what Batman the Animated Series was.
Yeah.
I don't know. Doesn't sound like a good idea to me. Let's keep it on the reboot track though a little bit. Mortal Kombat's reboot got a first look recently. They got Steve Harvey trending, which made me happy. Nerdgasm or Nogasm, what we've seen so far from this new Mortal Kombat, John?
I'm going to give this one a Nerdgasm. See, this is an area where I do think you can revisit because the games have set the tone for that, right? Like, you're consistently going back to the same premise, and sometimes it's forward or backwards in time. Sometimes it's not in the same timeline at all. I love the original movies, and I think that this could be cool too.
I love the original movie.
Yeah.
Annihilation was garbage. Yeah. But I mean, Christopher Lambert is Raiden, and you know the original Mortal Kombat movie is one of the.
Remember that like YouTube series that came out?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm like melding that into like a Mortal Kombat movie in my
brain. Turned Casper Van Dien into a friend of the show. So forever grateful for that, and I would have loved to see him come back as Johnny Cage. But I do love the original Mortal Kombat movie. I think it is one of the better video game movies out there. I mean, if for nothing else, for the song. But Davis, Nerdgasm or Nogasm for this Mortal Kombat reboot?
This is a Nerdgasm fatality, is what it is. Nice. It's going to bring in the home run hitter here.
What's the animation for that?
Well, I don't know, James. What's allowed? Is this a buy or sell, or is this a Nerdgasm fatality?
What territory is this Nerdgasm being sold in?
Well, it's rated R, so I think we can get we got a decent amount of latitude.
All right. No, I love the idea of this.
Davis's Nerdgasm fatality is it turns the other character to the creative screen for Cyberpunk, and all of their extremities just get way too big and explode.
Oh yeah, I love the idea of this movie because there's no big name actors. They've saved their entire budget, which was not much from what I read, and they said, screw it, we're just gonna get no name actors. We're gonna do this. They had to, they want to make sure they're going to do the fatalities the right way and make them look good. It looks like the Scorpion and Sub-Zero storyline is going to be heavily at play here. But the one thing they are missing there, James, though, is no Cage.
They're not going to have Johnny Cage in this? I didn't see that.
No, he's not. Oh, so far he hasn't been listed, and there's no actor on there.
I think what made the original
that looks
movie
like it's going to be Cage
was that it was like a Cage story. Like it was relatable. I feel like going too far down the like Scorpion Sub-Zero path, like the Mortal Kombat story is very convoluted. And
it's fun, but it's extremely convoluted.
Kind of stupid, a little bit. Like let's be honest.
At certain points, yes, I will grant you that.
It's just a drapery around like.
I like to pick and choose, though.
Shit. Yeah. So let's as a movie not take ourselves too seriously. I think that stylistically they should go down like the old school kind of like gory, like filmmaking style. And not take themselves too seriously as a story. Like we're not gonna these like weird demon ninjas are not gonna be super like relatable for audiences. You know what I mean? Like they're never gonna be super powerful protagonists or anything.
Well, I'm hoping this has Johnny Cage. It's got to have all the major players. It's got to have your Liu Kang. It's got to have your Sonya Blade, your Johnny Cage, your Sub-Zero, your Scorpion, your Raiden.
Yeah.
I'm giving it a Nerdgasm. I don't think that this will diminish the 90s one. That one is just sort of I feel always stand apart, and I think there's more ground to cover here with another Mortal Kombat property.
That one was fitting for what the games were at that time, and hopefully this one does the same thing for what they are now.
So I'll give it a Nerdgasm. I'm giving John 10 more points on that one too.
Oh come on, I had a Nerdgasm fatality. Where's my points?
Yeah, you get 15. So.
Oh yeah.
You're still losing though. You're still trailing.
I think I'm tied.
No, you're down 5. But the points don't matter here.
Math.
Yeah, exactly. It's not your strong suit. And you know what? For questioning me, I'm docking you 5 more points. So
go ahead, mute me, motherfucker.
All right, this one's right in your wheelhouse, though, Davis. Here's a headline from Instagram user the Foo Community, so this is totally reputable. Former Defense Minister of Canada says that aliens live among us and look just like humans. He urges world leaders to reveal secret files. And the article or caption on Instagram went on from there. Davis, you are a resident tinfoil hat wearer. You are a conspiracy theorist. You are a lone gunman. Nerdgasm or nogasm to aliens living among us, and all these secret files.
Getting more credit every day as the truth is starting to come out. Aliens are here. This is a nerdgasm, gentlemen. We are gonna get some facts. Aliens are here. And this is just credit. I mean, this is the old Prime Defense Minister, after all. You know? I mean, what could he have to hide? Why would he want not?
I mean, he's old. Yeah, emphasis on old.
Whatever they do up in Canada, you know. I mean, nobody really cares like
so
who's ruling
Defense
up
Minister
there. But...
of Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but why? What would he have to gain from telling this? He has a lot more to lose if he's just making something up. His credibility.
I don't know if he actually said this.
He said this. I looked into it heavily.
It's what are you talking about? It's a screenshot of a tweet that someone put out. Of course it's real. Not even him tweeting it. It's just someone else tweeting that he said this. And it's a screenshot of that, so it looks official.
And,
I love it.
And really, if aliens were here, do you really think they'd want to reveal themselves after the instability they've seen in our culture right now? No, they can clearly see. They can clearly see that we're not ready to handle that. We would just fall within ourselves and just annihilate ourselves if we knew that there was other life out there. Because religious people couldn't handle it. It wouldn't happen.
Davis, I just tried to Google this story, and the first thing is from another disreputable news site. It says, aliens and Galactic Federation exist, says ex-Israeli space chief.
I mean, start lining them up.
So multiple world leaders are saying this.
Yeah. So also,
line them up, boys.
The Japanese military is now officially tracking UFOs. John, I pose it to you.
Reputable sources.
Nerdgasm or nogasm on this?
I'm gonna give it a nerdgasm and just say I've been preparing for this moment since the debut of Men in Black, and I've just accepted this as a reality since that movie came out. And yeah, I mean, I'm ready. Like I'm pro alien. I'll be the first one to forsake all of my human brethren and join them in their cause. I hope they're listening to this.
I don't doubt.
What about your
that
wife? Would you take on an alien wife just to drop yours?
I mean, I am also very shallow. So...
I wish you guys could have seen John as he mulled it over very seriously for a moment on his webcam.
No, I'm not going to say no.
I mean, can you imagine the possibilities? That's all I'm saying.
Oh, I can imagine.
Davis and John, you both get 5 conspiracy points for that. So, all right, our final story, and this is honor of Imperial Commissar and noted Resident Evil fan Jeff Budd. Resident Evil 8 got a release date. It's coming out in May. They showed off a lot of footage and screen imagery. It looks really cool in my opinion. John, I know you're sort of afraid of the scary games, but nerdgasm or nogasm on the Resident Evil series continuing on here?
I'll give it a nerdgasm. I don't play scary games. I'm too scary, as they say. But I may or may not have been supported the showcase reveal stream that they did last week. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it, and I think seeing the response from Resident Evil fans and how excited they are made me excited, despite not really being a huge player of Resident Evil games. Just the positive reception and how many people showed out to see some updates and see what was happening with the series, that gets me excited, and yeah, I don't know, we should support good games.
Yeah, plus 10 points for your positive outlook on that. Davis, nerdgasm or nogasm for this?
I might need to hydrate. Get me a Gatorade, boys, because I'm 4 for 4 nerdgasming this week.
Wow.
4 for 4.
That's a lot of stamina.
I can go all day. I can do this all day, James. That's for you.
All right, plus 5 for that.
I can't get any more on a Captain America reference. Come on.
It was kind of flubbed a little bit, and I know you hate Captain America, so continue on. So you're nerdgasming for this.
Yeah, I stopped playing Resident Evil probably after the third one, I gotta say. But the movies, if this can give me another Resident Evil guilty pleasure movie, I'm in. Because those are some of the worst movies I've ever seen.
That the Resident Evil games are like, or at least like the original ones were like really hard.
They were.
Davis, I'm taking away all of your points for wanting this to be like the Resident Evil movies.
I want it. No, I mean, you want to talk about convoluted.
I award you no points.
Let's talk Resident Evil.
Mercy on your soul.
No, and good for the fans. They get another game. This is a great series. So
it looks awesome. I'm nerdgasming just looking at some of the videos and imagery from this. I can't wait to watch Jeff play it. Hopefully on a stream sometime. This looks really, really good.
Maybe they'll release it when it's actually ready. Who knows? It's not. A lot of games aren't trending that way these days.
Dude. It looks very like, even watching the trailers looks scary.
Yeah, it just how some of this stuff looks, it might maybe I'll dip a toe into the Resident Evil series then.
It also looks like they've like really expanded like what you can do in the game with like crafting and kind of like breaking items around the world and being able to find like a lot of stuff. It seems like a game that you're going to be able to put a lot of hours into and really like make it your own.
It's probably no Until Dawn, but it looks really, really awesome. That is going to do it for this edition of Nerdgasm or Nogasm. We got one more segment. We're going to be talking about WandaVision on the other side, and maybe veering off into some interesting alternate topics of conversation there, as we're going to be talking the Disney Plus series from the MCU on the other side on the Best Damn Nerd Show.
Hey guys, it's the loquacious anime and manga lover Jahns here. Now, I have watched a lot of anime, and I've read an abundance of manga, so you would think that I have a pretty interesting opinion on the culture. From classics like Golden Boy and Ghost in the Shell, to masterpieces such as Psycho Pass and Gantz. Come and join me as I talk about the world of anime and manga, which has had a huge impact on my life. And who knows, whatever I talk about and recommend to you guys could become one of your favorite series.
Ammo with Jammers.
It's the microphone alchemist Bimbo Jimbo here, and when I'm not verbally super kicking Last Jedi fans on the Best Damn Nerd Show, or fantasy casting The Rock in another movie on the DLC, well, that's when I actually get to talk about wrestling. That's right, come join me in the Wrestling War Room, where I take my mic to the mat and launch my hot takes about the Wednesday Night War between AEW and NXT. The Wrestling War Room, which side are you on?
What up, nerds? Lore Master Tim here. We're excited to be delivering your weekly fix of nerd culture, but it's not enough. We need your life force to sustain us. So use those hot little hands to subscribe, rate, and review us on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or however you take your medicine. One of our favorite pastimes on the BDNS is reading fan mail on air. So sing us a song of hatred or love, and you may just hear your beautiful words being featured on an episode. That's why it's important, nay, essential, to rate and review us. Until then, as always, nerds, say it loud, say it proud.
Welcome back to the Best Damn Nerd Show. James Kincaid, John Craig, Chris Davis here for one final segment. And we're going to be talking about WandaVision right now, the Disney Plus series dealing with Scarlet Witch and Vision, the MCU, all that good stuff. Originally on Disney Plus, it was supposed to be, Falcon and Winter Soldier was supposed to be the first show from the MCU on Disney Plus, but then that whole COVID thing that Davis spread around happened, and here we are now with WandaVision, which is so unlike anything else that the MCU has put out thus far, and I honestly don't know what John and Davis think about it. I haven't really shared how I feel about it all that much. I think even on our Discord, so I'm legitimately curious. Well, John, we'll start with you. What do you think about WandaVision? We're 3 episodes in now. What do you think?
Look, I came into it with very low expectations because the trailer doesn't really explain at all what the concept of the show is, what could potentially happen in the show, what it's about. And I gotta say, after 3 episodes, the show itself doesn't really explain what the show is about. It's totally pointless. It's extremely boring until you get to the very, very end of episode 3. I have a feeling I know where it's going, and I have a feeling that after watching it all, I'm going to feel like it would have been better as like a 90-minute movie where they just condense all the bullshit and get you right to like some story. Because as of right now, there's really no story. So yeah, I don't know. That's where I'm at on it.
All right, more on that in a moment.
Review.
Well, oh shit.
It's Davis. What do you think about WandaVision?
I think WandaVision is quite refreshing.
A cinematic masterpiece.
I will not go masterpiece, but like John, I had very low expectations going in for this. I was not thrilled. I actually had plans of not watching it whatsoever, but then there was a little bit of hype on the Discord, and I didn't want to be left out. I was getting a little FOMO.
Oh, FOMO on the Discord.
Yeah.
That's it. If you don't want to be left out of this conversation, you go to bestdamnnerdshow.com/Discord and you can join up yourself.
Make sure we keep getting that FOMO, so we keep watching stuff that we don't want to and then end up liking, apparently. So, no, it's been a fun little romp through some different eras of TV sitcoms so far. Stylistically, it's been pretty interesting, especially in episode 3 where they changed some of the picture settings, towards the middle, and then
I like black and white. I'm not gonna lie. I'm more of a black and white guy.
It was fun.
It's more my wheelhouse for things that I enjoy.
I think there's a lot more going on than what you're seeing, John, because and this is probably not good for the average viewer, because unless you're looking into some of maybe the theories of what it's about, you're not looking for certain things in the storyline, and like things of how the possible story could be progressing. I see what you're saying on like an actual story going on. There's not much, but I feel like there is if you know some of these little things that could be going on.
Which is stupid. It's just stupid. Like, look, I get it. Like, there's been a couple moments where, she's like reversed time a little bit and like reset the situation, and then the outcome has been a little bit different, right? Or like she flings, spoiler alert, she flings that one character out of this little bubble. That, she's potentially created to protect something or to do something. The problem is, like, stylistically, I agree. I like the tone. I like the style of the show. Like, I like the little jokes and the gags. Like, it is entertaining, but I feel like they need to do a little bit more set and setting. And I had the same complaint with Mandalorian, and this will just come up every time we have a show like this, where the style is not content. The style is just like the cosmetics of the story. If you're not setting up the story and the characters and getting us invested for some reason, then we're just going to get bored. And that's the problem. Like, by the time you get through halfway through the magic episode, you're like, this is incredibly boring, dude. Like, I know that there's like funny moments and stuff, but like, what's the point?
Well, okay, so I also came in with very low expectations for WandaVision. I also wasn't really planning on watching it, and then this whole COVID thing happened. We rebooted the show and all this stuff, and now with the conversation, I felt what else do I have going on? I'll check it out, and I'm sort of reinvigorated about a lot of that stuff in general. But my expectations were still low, and I think that's probably why I'm fine with what they've done so far. I also really like the genres that they're sort of parroting in the show. I was a big Nick at Night guy, and I know, John, you and I can talk about that in a couple minutes, some of our favorites from that era. I totally get what you're saying, though. It feels very much like a show for the hardcore Marvel fan, but I think they've gone in the week-by-week release like The Mandalorian did. This actually seems like a show, given what they're doing, might have been better served to have the binge watch model.
I had the same exact thought. I had the same exact thought as I finished episode 3. I was like, okay, we're finally getting into something. But had I just tuned into like 1 episode or 2 episodes in the beginning and had to wait, I would have never watched another episode, because until the end of episode 3, there's a couple little like things, but there's nothing major like what happens at the end of episode 3. So you're like,
but
I
feel
the
like
mystery really isn't there.
I feel like the binge would take away. Because I do believe the mystery is there. Everybody wants to know what's happening right now. It's creating discussions online of like what theory is like which Scarlet Witch storyline is this kind of going off of.
Is that not just for the I mean, I have no problem with the diehard fan.
No, I mean,
do you think that's who they're servicing?
Think about Lost. You know, when that came out, from week to week, it was an ongoing discussion of what did this mean.
I knew that you liked this because of the same reason you like Lost. I fucking knew it.
You go down the rabbit hole. It's like you know, with
and
Cloverfield.
You know what's gonna happen, Davis? You're never gonna figure out what the smoke monster was.
I don't believe. Well, in Lost, yeah, I'll never know.
Yeah, you're never going to figure out why they were.
This is not a J.J. Abrams show, though, so I feel like I'm going to get some answers. So this isn't the mystery box. What's inside? No, like I do feel like it's creating the hype from week to week. Like, oh, what? Maybe that's going to reveal this next, and I think we got a lot more of that this week, but there's still a lot of questions. But I think from the week to week, it creates more hype, it creates more discussion, and it gets more people watching.
Well, here's the thing about WandaVision is they are giving you the story they're giving you is traditional sitcom type story. Like they're giving you situations that would happen in Dick Van Dyke or I Love Lucy,
Pleasantville, dude.
or Bewitched. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, they're actually giving you like sort of plot lines that happened within those shows that need to be resolved within the So it's like you are watching a classic sitcom, and you're not getting very much of what's actually going on until recently, which is why I think for all like the flavor that they wanted to give for that, I really do think that for the people that are turned off by the show, I think the binge watch model would have helped them, because if they gave, what is it going to be, 9 episodes or 12 episodes, something like that?
I think it's 9.
That if you gave them all of that, it's like then it's a much sort of easier ask, I feel like, for people, because when you sit down to binge watch it, then you're sort of going on this journey through time of what television was like, which is kind of fun in of its own self, but you are also being the person that really needs to be satisfied to know what's going on beyond that, also gets that too as you go through the show.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like, I'm not asking for a lot. I'm just saying like maybe like the cold open in the first episode or even the second episode is like something outside of this little bubble that they're living in that reveals to you, or at least sets up like what the story might be. Because like, I don't know, I guess watching the trailer, I was like, oh, this is going to be like a The Americans, or like something like where, you know, it's like fish out of water. They're up to these hijinks trying to fit in, but at least you have some basis of like who they are and why they're there. You know, maybe we find that out near the end of this season, but like that's a long time to wait to figure out who these characters are that you're supposed to be invested in to get you to that point, you know?
Yeah, I
understand a lot of audiences to be like, give us, you know, 6 hours of your time to watch this season so that we can hopefully pay off and explain who these people are that you've been waiting to figure out who they are for that long. Like, it's a leap of faith that you have to take as an audience member to go along with that.
I have seen reaction on both sides. I've been enjoying it. It's funny that you single out the second episode as being really boring. That's my favorite episode of the whole thing.
The magic one.
Yeah,
I love that one.
Yeah, Paul Bettany going flourish. Yeah, it was, and you know,
it was definitely funny.
We got a Knight's Tale Paul Bettany, and that's all I ever wanted to see again. I love his character in A Knight's Tale, and that's what he just went right back to that character and was like, hey, I'm gonna do this again.
Look, and I totally, it's like we're not getting like what the actual story is going on, but I was I liked seeing the gum go inside his inner workings in the very sort of cartoonish style and literally gumming up the works. And I don't know. It worked. It worked for me. Do I know what's going on? No. I mean, I have like a general idea about Sword and Shield and all this stuff and this, bubble that she's created. That like the end of the third episode felt very Stranger Things, which I appreciated. But Stranger Things, if I'm not mistaken, was a binge watch show, right, on Netflix? Like they released all their episodes at once.
Yep.
I mean, so I still am very much so pro the episodic model, but this show might be so different that maybe they should have released maybe a couple more.
It's as simple as like giving you some little breadcrumb at the very beginning, so that like when the radio starts communicating with Wanda, or in the third episode when I forget her name, the character that's like helping her give birth, like starts mentioning Ultron, it's like, oh, this is like we're uncovering more of this as we go, right? Instead of like introducing the fact that there's a mystery in episode 3, like we should already know that it's there, and we're like connecting the dots to what we've already seen. You know what I mean? I don't know,
but there definitely
does have
there's been things every episode.
What were the things in episode 1?
Let's see if I can remember. Wasn't that
when his boss is dying, and it's like that sort of like help him vision kind of deal, and
she rewinds things. And is that the episode at the end where the bee suit guy's coming out at the end?
That I think that was episode 2, and then I think episode either 1 or 2 had the helicopter thing. I mean,
that was 2.
Yeah, that one was 2.
And saving the guy was just him. I don't know. It feels a little bit different, but yeah,
it is so incredibly different than anything that's out there.
I have the same gripe that I have with Mandalorian. Like, it seems like a lot of sizzle, no substance at this point. Like it's
I'm not going to fight with you about the Mandalorian again. It's too late, and I don't want to wait to neighbors.
We'll put our differences aside. I'm just saying I'm saying it's the same gripe though, where it's like it looks cool, and like the style is cool, but what is there beyond the style? Like the style is not story.
I mean, and I wouldn't put this on every viewer of the series to understand, but I think a lot of this, what's going on, it's the story of Wanda breaking down. I think you're going to see something with Wanda as we move forward, just the complete collapse of her.
But who is she? What is she collapsing from? Like,
well,
she lost Vision in the Avengers. She lost her brother. There was the bombing, like the commercials that show up in the first episode and second episode. Those are huge things from her past of that had a huge impact on her life, and she is just. I think you're going to start seeing this, and that's part of the story. But what you're saying is, I get it. That doesn't work for everyone that doesn't understand that, and that is a lot to ask on the viewership.
I do think the burden of proof on the audience is higher than most shows, but I think that the reason why it's gotten as positive a reaction as it has is that the MCU's done a really good job of making sure that their audience has watched almost everything that they've put out, so that they really know most of the stuff, and that they will. I think the bar that they're clearing with their audience is probably pretty high too, because I think that the retention and just how much of the MCU content that if you watch one part of it, most people are going to watch all of it, especially now with Disney Plus and it's all streaming and everything. I mean, people have gone back and rewatched it and rewatched the movies in release date order and chronological order according to the universe and stuff like that. So I think that I do agree that the ask is high, but I think they're probably clearing a lot of the bar with a lot of people, which is why you're seeing the reaction. Again, I came in with low expectations. I'm enjoying it. I like old sitcoms, and I don't really, when they want to tell me what's going on, go ahead. I'll be there for the ride now. It's fine. I like the character of Vision, and I like Scarlet Witch. I don't really care. So one of the big things that happened in this episode, spoiler alert, everybody, is we got the birth of Wiccan and Speed. So everybody's talking about how the Young Avengers could be a thing coming in the MCU. Wiccan and Speed move my needle exactly none, but for the people that they do, good for you, Nerdgasm. But it doesn't do anything for me. But I'm having fun watching it because I like those old shows, and so
yeah, this is
Davis,
right up your alley. Like old man James.
I want to talk about the old shows because I also like that about this show. But before we do, for those that are
uninitiated,
yeah, like, can you just summarize what you imagine is happening in this show?
She's created her own sort of little bubble protection universe. I wouldn't even say, I think universe is too strong a word, but she's created some type of protective bubble. She's not, I think, trying to find a way to resurrect Vision, or maybe she has, or maybe she's affected the world in an even greater way than we realize. But she's obviously created some type of, to borrow a line from Charles Xavier in, I believe it was X3, how they justified Jean Grey coming, a cocoon of telekinetic energy. I don't know, fucking comic shit.
Yeah. And do you think Vision is like in her head or really there?
That I don't know, because I mean,
she's interaction with the neighbors that was like.
But I mean, she is, and that's one of the cool things, I guess, about this show, is that we're going to learn is Scarlet Witch is one of, as her character progressed, is one of the most powerful characters in the Marvel universe as it stands today. You like it or not, the story House of M and what she did to the mutants and all these things. I mean, she went from this character when she was first introduced that, could affect probability, to where she can affect the entire universe and sort of recreate reality in certain respects to her own liking, but sometimes with very unstable results and very grave results. Go ahead, Davis.
That is one of the theories right now, is that this is leading up to some of the events of House of M, and that she is going to, at the end of this, completely distort all of reality instead of this bubble. And the other half that it could be is that Mephisto could be introduced as well, who's a devil-like character, who is kind of playing games with her, and that's also where the twins come in, is that he had a hand in that as well. So there's a few different things that could come into play here. I like the House of M, but I don't think they'll go that route because I don't think they're bringing in mutants quite yet.
Well, I think that they will be in short order. I think they are going to use this as a. I think there's a reason why they wanted to start with Falcon and Winter Soldier, because that would have been a much more straightforward, comic book storytelling type show, and this is something that is so off a different path, but I think they want to use it to sort of catapult the MCU to where they want to go next. And that they've already talked about how Doctor Strange's next movie, Multiverse of Madness, is going to be playing off directly from what happens on this show. I do think that they can use this, whether it's in season 1 or 2, to be the launching pad for bringing mutants into the MCU. I think that is going to happen. And I think, I think it's going to prove to be sort of by the end of it, have some sort of MCU shaking stuff that's going to shape where the movies are going to go next and why. But that being said, I loved Nick at Night growing up. So this was black and white, and just like easily, whatever. Will you give me 22 minutes and what's this dopey broad gonna do that Ricky's gonna have to fix? Let me see. Davis, you were not much of a Nick at Night guy in our talks pre-show, which I mean. I'm going back to Nerdgasm or Nogasm, and I'm now giving you negative points going into the next time that you participate because of that.
Shit. Yeah, no, it was just never. It was just never part of a childhood or coming up, and nothing that really spoke to me in my later years when I actually had the channel and could watch that. Nick at Night. I always wanted to watch other stuff, so it just never really spoke to me.
I'm sure I'm sure someday we'll do a more in-depth Nick at Night episode, but as time is winding down here, John, I appreciated the fact that you wanted to talk about this because I didn't want to be the only one that was like, man, let me talk about these old shows. But what were some of your favorites, John, and what sort of spoke to you when you were watching WandaVision?
My favorites were Happy Days, for sure. I liked I Dream of Jeannie and I Love Lucy. I get probably more than any of the other shows. I get a real like Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie vibe from this, and I think they even spoof the like intro
of Bewitched in the second episode.
Yeah, the second episode. So, and I do like I like that each episode, like the intro is different and like an homage to an old show, and I mean they captured the vibe really, really well, but then they're also introducing like modern kind of like camera angles and things that like sitcoms didn't really do back then, like the dinner table, and I think it's during scenes where like you're meant to pay more attention, you know, like the dinner scene where his boss's wife is like repeating I don't even remember what she's saying, like stop joking or something like that.
Stop him.
Oh,
stop
yeah, stop
vision,
it.
or
Stop. Yeah.
Stop it vision. Yeah.
Like the like subtle camera push-ins, like you would never see that in those old sitcoms. But yeah, I don't know, dude. Bewitched, I Love Lucy, I Dream of Jeannie, Happy Days, the Fonz, dude, doesn't get much better.
I was did I tell this story on the show that I was Fonzie for Halloween one year from Happy Days?
Yeah, yeah, you're old. Yeah, you're old man James, and yes, you did tell that.
Yeah, I was in like 3rd or 4th grade.
I was like, why? Who the hell dresses up as Fonz in elementary school? Like,
I did.
Who does that? And
it was great.
Was Gilligan's Island on Nick at Night?
Gilligan's Island at one point in time was. I'll tell you what I really liked, and I really did appreciate the Bewitched intro in the second episode, and I did like Bewitched. However, I loved I Dream of Jeannie. I like when it came like those two always, because it would be like a block of Bewitched and a block of I Dream of Jeannie. Yeah. I was always Team Jeannie. I think Barbara
Team
Eden.
Jeannie, dude. There's no teams.
Barbara Eden was a part of my awakening, as it were. And
okay.
Part of James's nerdgasm.
Jeannie was great. I loved the scenes where they would go into like her little bottle, you know, and
with
just the whole how she talked to him, you know, was it Major Healy? Was that the main character? Or was that the friend? But I loved Dr. Bellows, dude. Always trying to suss out what was really going on there. Never trusting it. Major Nelson. It was Major Nelson. Yes, master. And like the whole like blink disappear and everything. I Dream of Jeannie was great. I Love Lucy is probably like the greatest of all time, though, in my opinion. In terms of just the most signature types of shows like that. I loved, and my favorite character, I love Fred and Ethel Mertz, dude. Her neighbors were hilarious to me. They were great. She had the best supporting cast. Some of the most like the chocolate on the conveyor belt episode.
That was a great show because it
stomping
really
wine,
like friendship and like just I don't know.
Well, the whole like idea of it was groundbreaking too, with having, you know, Desi Arnaz, you know, Ricky Ricardo character and everything like that, and I really would come to identify with Lucy always wanting to be on, you know, his entertainment show when he's in business of putting on a good show, and she just thinks that she can, you know, waltz her ass on there. You know, it just reminds me of conversations in a car ride with people being like, "Why can't I be on the nerd show?" Like, well, you don't know fuck all about what we're going to be talking about, so that's why. Not a broadcaster.
The Bob Newhart show I liked.
I was
way too young to understand it.
Bob Newhart show, on my list coming into tonight, the two I really wanted to bring up that I didn't think anybody else would be Bob Newhart show, which is the one where he played the psychiatrist in Chicago, and then the show Newhart, which came after that, and he played a different character. He was still Bob, an innkeeper in Vermont. That's the one where they had the three woodsmen. It was like, my name's Daryl. This is my other brother Daryl. My other brother Daryl. A really, really funny show. I actually think I might like Newhart more than I liked the Bob Newhart show. But the finale of Newhart was at the time, you know, I think one of the most creative finales to any show. Spoiler alert, many decades later, if you haven't seen it. But they end the show Newhart with him waking up in bed on the set of the Bob Newhart show with his old wife and like playing off the entire Newhart show like it was a dream sequence. And it's this great, and like they like smuggled his wife onto set so nobody knew what was going on, so they were able to keep the secret, and it was this really big surprise. And the signature attire of his wife and Newhart was a sweater, so he wakes up in bed with Bob Newhart's show wife, and after he tells her about this dream of all this crazy stuff that didn't make any sense in the Newhart show, he looks at her and goes, you should wear more sweaters. And then she just turns out, good night, Bob. And that's how they ended Newhart. It was such like a great callback to, an entirely different show. It was very cool. I love the Wonder Years.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's kind of like late Nick at Night though, wasn't it?
It was, but it was still on there.
Yeah.
And what a tremendous show.
It's a classic show. I feel like that show just like speaks to, especially like the experience of like little boys in a certain era. I don't know. It just captures something that
Winnie Cooper, man.
Yeah, the shows rarely can. Dude, I'm looking at a list of Nick at Night shows now, and I'm looking at stuff that aired in like the 2000s, and it's which is, by the way, like 20 years ago.
Ended up with like Urkel on there, and
yeah.
Cheers was on there. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Yeah.
Wow, Roseanne ended up on Nick at Night.
Like I'm saying, like, we are so old that like shows that were like current were on Nick at Night 15 years ago. like that's how old we are, dude. Malcolm in the Middle is a show that's no longer on Nick at Night because it's
too old.
Yeah.
It's too old.
Yeah.
I just remember when they would like add the Munsters and stuff. So like this one summer we had
Munsters, dude.
What? The Munsters was great.
Addams Family. Those shows are trash.
Disagree, bro. Disagree. They're great.
I enjoyed the Munsters.
Scary. Fuck it.
The Munsters were not scary, dude.
It's scary enough, dude. Fuck it.
No way. No way. There's we could do a whole Nick at Night episode. I have to say, I did mention this in the Discord. I did appreciate the old sitcom rule that they referenced with them sleeping in separate beds at the start of episode 2, but then they put them together and then they bang, which was they definitely would not have shown that in an old sitcom.
Yeah.
But
John,
I appreciate so many of the little nods.
Yeah, John, you brought up an interesting point on the camera angle when it did that. When she was saying that at the dinner table. I wonder if we look back on these episodes, that when they do break these angles that they wouldn't normally use, if those are the moments where you need to be looking at what could be going on, something's different,
because they definitely do it during the radio scene too. Like it's like anytime the camera breaks like the fourth wall plane and gets like right into the scene, like when they shot these old sitcoms, they weren't doing like multiple takes where they were getting the cameras like way in there on handhelds and like doing push-ins and singles of people's faces like that. Almost everything was wide. It almost felt like plays, like you're watching a theater performance.
Right.
And so in this show, it is like, it's startling, or it's noticeable when the camera gets in like that, because that's not how the rest of the show is shot. So it feels like intentional and feels like, hey, pay attention to this, or hey, this is a little bit more like reality in this moment of what's going on.
Yeah, fuck all that. I want to talk about the Mary Tyler Moore show, which was also awesome. You didn't like the Mary Tyler Moore show? It was so good. Lou Grant, Ted Baxter,
some like 20-something woman.
She's gonna make it after all, dude. She's living in the Twin Cities. She's trying to make it as an aspiring journalist. Really Lou Grant, this hard as nails boss. Cynical and jaded. Ted Baxter, idiot on-air talent. I know we all can relate to that. Ted Baxter, one of the all-time great television characters, by the way. Ted Knight. Just so good. Mary Tyler Moore show was awesome. I'm going to go outside and throw my hat in the air after this episode's done. Love the Mary Tyler Moore show. I was definitely getting some Mary Tyler Moore and Rhoda vibes from episode 3 here on WandaVision. Ah, man, Nick at Night was so great. Probably ruined by all that new slop that they have to put on there now. But we will keep our eye on WandaVision. I think, John, are you going to watch another episode, or are you out?
I'll keep. Well, it depends on what you guys said. If you guys tell me to keep watching it, I will.
Keep watching it, John. I do really enjoy sort of the fact there is the camaraderie aspect in the time of what's going on in the world and everything, that hey, this show's out, we can sort of watch it. That is an argument for against the binge model, even for this show, is like, hey, we got one episode this week, did you watch it? Now we can talk about it, honestly, theorize about it.
In terms of like keeping up with it socially and for the show, for this podcast, it's 30-minute episodes,
Yeah.
Like, it's really not a huge commitment.
It's gonna change because it's 9 episodes and it's supposed to last 6 hours and 40 minutes. So as this goes on and the era changes in the show, I think the episodes are gonna start getting longer.
The 8th episode's just done in the style of The Wire or something like
that.
Yeah. That's just
but the length
for sure.
All right. Well, we're gonna leave it right there. I'm excited to talk Nick at Night again in the future with you all. And John, screw you and minus points to you next time you do Nerdgasm or Nogasm for not loving the Mary Tyler Moore Show. God, the emotional ending when they're all crying together and singing "It's a Long Way to Tipperary."
Jesus Christ!
It's just not terribly relatable,
I think it is.
Every Halloween
I find it very relatable. You know what I didn't like? Oh, I hate to end on one I didn't like. Fuck MASH, dude. I hated that show, and I was like, this is a war show. Like, nothing's happening.
Yeah,
dude, MASH sucked. MASH was not the goods in my opinion. Now, I've not rewatched it as a fully formed adult, but as a young person, it's like this is missing me, dude. Not into it.
Always watched Golden Girls. She was.
I did like the theme to MASH though.
When she was like a 6, 7, 8-year-old girl, just watching Golden Girls every night. I was like, I don't know if this is good for you, but hey,
better than MASH.
That show is consistent in this household, actually. So.
Really?
What, MASH?
Yeah.
Oh, Davis is a Golden Girls fan.
Uh-huh.
I was going to say MASH. I'd never let you on the show again.
It was revolutionary, man, for a show to be talking with older ladies about the stuff that they did. So it was good.
All right. Well,
Sex
on
and the
that
City
note,
owes them residuals.
They do. They do. Old broads getting it on, man.
Yep.
Is that what they talk about? I don't really remember anything about the Golden Girls. I mean, wasn't Blanche like a skank,
it's
right?
like the same archetypes as...
But Blanche was like a Southern skank, if I recall.
She was a Southern Belle skank, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, and then, Betty White, she was the innocent.
A very young Betty White.
Yeah.
Who's still old. All right. Well, that is going to do it for this edition of the Best Damn Nerd Show. Have a great week, everyone. You're going to make it after all. And remember, if you're a nerd, always say it loud and say it proud.
Hey, everyone. Chris Seglia, CEO of the TenO Media Network here. Thank you so much for listening to our content, but we need your help. Please rate us 5 stars, subscribe, and give us a shining review wherever you listen to this podcast. It really, really helps us out. And one more thing, please tell a friend if you can. Tell them Tasty Steve, Hanzo Gonzo, Markman, Rip, Ricky Replay, or someone who everyone loves sent you or something. That might help. Anyway, again, thank you for listening. And if you want more, make sure to check us out at www.ten-o.gg, www.teno.gg.